Unit 63, The Miller's Problem. Records show that the windmill was first used in Persia in 644 AD. From there, it was taken back to China by Genghis Khan. In China, it was used to lift water to irrigate the land. In Holland, it was used for the opposite purpose. It drained the water off the land. Lifting water onto or off the land takes a lot of power, and the windmill was the answer. The windmill uses the energy of the wind to produce power for humans to use. The windmills in Holland were built with 4 long arms. With canvas sails on the arms, the wind was captured to turn the millstone. Canvas was a good material. It was strong yet light, but it was not the final answer. The canvas sail had a drawback. Sometimes the winds reached gale force. Unless the canvas sails were rolled up, the entire windmill could be tossed on its side. Sea captains faced the same danger. Unless they trimmed their sails, the masts would swarm out of their sockets and tumble overboard. The captain could adjust his sails to shorten the canvas, but the miller's task was not that simple. First, he had to shut down his mill. He did so by breaking the wind shaft. The breaks were 2 wooden blocks called chicks. If they were applied too quickly, the sails would come to a quick stop. The wind would then tear them to shreds. The danger was removed by using wooden blinds in the place of canvas. As modern window blinds control the passage of light, so the wooden mill blinds controlled the passage of air. If a storm arose, the blinds were opened, and the blast passed harmlessly through the sails. If the winds were calm, the blinds were closed to capture every breath. Unit 64, Tilling the soil. Early humans never tilled the soil. They merely punched a hole in the ground with a stick. A seed was then dropped into the hole. The seed was covered mainly to hide it from the birds and mice. Much later, humans found that plants grew better in loose soil. So before they dropped the seeds, they dug the soil with strong sticks, sharp stones, and clam shells. Step by step, they finally worked up to a crude plow. This plow, developed about 8,000 years ago, was a forked branch. One end was sharpened. The other end was long to hold on to. This crude plow was pulled by a farmer's children or spouse. Later, of course, oxen were used. A big leap forward came in 1859. It happened in a field near Lancaster, England. 1,000 farmers left their oxen at home to watch Guy Fawkes' great field locomotive. Fawkes sat at the controls, gave 2 toots, and opened the throttle. The contraption, which looked like a monster smokestack on wheels, began to move. Ridicule turned to awe. Rapidly, the machine gained speed. Soon, the coal-fired steam locomotive was racing across the field faster than men could walk. And the farmers saw that it was pulling not a single bottom, as plowmen call their plows, but 8. Farmers couldn't believe their eyes. Fawkes plowed an acre in 12 minutes flat. Previously, it would have taken a farmer an entire day to do that. Even today, Fox's feat is amazing. Even now, with the modern tractor, a farmer allows about 2.5 hours for plowing an acre. Fox's wonder was too big, too costly, and too hard to repair. Its great weight packed the soil too tight. It also fell into mud holes, thus it failed. Unit 65, 10,000 Years of Bow and Arrow. The power of the bow was a turning point in civilization. No longer did primitive people have to face animals with club or a spear. They could bring down sharp-clawed beasts from a safe distance. What the bow did for hunting, it also did for fighting. It replaced both spear and sword. Attila the Hun first showed the world the power of the bow. His Mongolian hordes swept west through Russia, Germany, and France, but the Huns were finally stopped in 451 AD. It was quiet for about 800 years. Then Genghis Khan decided he wanted to conquer the world. He almost did. With skilled bows, swift horses, and reckless riders, the hordes again swept westward. Russia was overrun, then Germany and Italy, and even part of France. Khan's band seemed unstoppable, but the sharp sickle of disease and famine stopped it. Sick and starving, Khan's armies turned and faded into the twilight of history. Again, it was quiet for about 200 years. Then came 1415. In Normandy, France, 13,000 English archers routed 50,000 soldiers at the famous Battle of Agincourt. How did such a small force rout such a large force? It was caused by the English long bow. This new bow was as tall as a man. With it, the English archer could shoot 6 aimed arrows in a minute. The bow could propel an arrow 400 yards. The French, with shorter bows, could shoot only 100 yards. You can imagine the great advantage. The English archers stood at a safe distance. They aimed their arrows high. The 13,000 archers unleashed clouds of arrows. The arrows came down on the heads of the French like rain. There was no place to hide. Those who could run turned and retreated in terror. Unit 66, Discovering the Kangaroo. It was 1770. James Cook captained a British ship. His mission was to sail to New Holland, the Dutch name for Australia. Dutch explorers got there before the English. Australia is the only continent entirely in the southern hemisphere, so it made sense for it to have unusual animals. Captain Cook landed at Botany Bay. This is just south of present-day Sydney. He built his base there. Then he explored the vast inland territory. Soon he saw a strange animal. He had read about it. A Dutch captain described the animal in this way. It is about 7 feet tall. It weighs about 200 pounds. Its head is like that of a deer. The ears are rabbit-like. The hind legs are powerful. Captain Cook studied the animal. It did not walk. Instead, it hopped like a grasshopper. Its powerful legs could propel it over bushes 7 feet high. When chased, it leapt in 35 feet bounds. It went as fast as 35 miles per hour. But its front legs were quite tiny. It used them as a squirrel would, as hands for eating. Captain Cook was excited to spot this strange animal. Earlier, he had picked up a guide, but the guide spoke no English, so Cook used sign language. He pointed at the animal. The guide said, "Kangaroo." Captain Cook wrote the word in his notebook. Some years later, missionaries came to the South Pacific Islands. They listened to the natives. They wrote the sounds in English. In this way, they created a written language. Now the natives could read their own spoken language. In the written language, the native word kangaroo, according to the dictionary, means "I don't know." Nevertheless, the animal is still called a kangaroo. The name stuck. No change is planned. Unit 67, Kangaroo Life. Here are some characteristics of kangaroos. The mother's pouch is shaped like a large pocket. There's where she feeds and cares for the babies. But the babies, called joys, are not born in the pocket. They are naturally outside it. When the babies are born, they are very tiny, only about an inch long. They must first cling to the mother's fur. Then they instinctively have to crawl up into the mother's pouch. No one helps, not even the mother. The babies must know to climb upward. They have to know there's safety in the pouch. Not only that, they have to know that that's the only way they can live. That is a lot to expect at the first minute of birth. The babies remain in the pouch for weeks or sometimes even months. By that time, they get pretty heavy, yet the mother tolerates it. At birth, there are often 3 kangaroos in the litter, but rarely does the mother raise more than 1. Animals in a group are referred to with special words. For cows, we say a herd of cows. But what do we say for a group of kangaroos? We say a mob of kangaroos. Kangaroos live on the flat plains, where they eat grass and plants. Their teeth are very sharp. This makes it natural for them to clip the grasses close to the ground. Grass clipped so close rarely recovers. It dries up. This provokes the ranchers, as their grazing lands for cattle and sheep are often ruined. The result is that ranchers often shoot kangaroos as pests. There is, however, a use for kangaroo carcass. The flesh is considered a delicacy. The hides are used for shoes, gloves, and bags. Nevertheless, it is a shame to slaughter this timid animal.